In the 1970s, researchers in cognitive developmental psychology discovered something that may have great practical power and is underappreciated, I think. The researchers applied Jean Piaget's four-stage model of childhood cognitive development to college students and other adults. The fourth stage in Piaget's theory is formal rationality, and the researchers found first that many adults are not able to reliably think systematically, rationally, or formally. This may not come as a surprise to you, but it did to them at the time. It contradicted Piaget's beliefs. More importantly, the researchers found that some adults, after mastering rationality, went on to develop a further form of cognition, which they called post-formal or meta-systematic or stage 5. Stage 5 is less about problem solving, which is the essence of stage 4, than about problem finding, choosing problems and formulating them. And stage 5 often applies multiple or unexpected forms of thought when in complex nebulous situations. By contrast, stage 4 tends to unthinkingly apply some supposedly correct rational method, disregarding contextual clues that some other approach might work better. I've written quite a lot about this because I think it's critical now for cultural and social progress as well as personal and intellectual development. However, while I said that stage 5 seems underappreciated to me, it may also be overappreciated in a sense by some people. There is a tendency to sacralize it, to treat it almost religiously. This is a pretty common misunderstanding. Achieving stage 5 does not make you special in any way. It's not sainthood, enlightenment, ultimate wisdom, or any other sort of perfection. Making stage 5 sound special is misleading and unhelpful because it puts it out of reach. It suggests that only super duper special people could ever be that way. But in fact, it's an unusual but feasible way of being. You don't need to be something special to make the transition from stage 4 to stage 5. You don't need any expectation or intention of becoming something special. Those are obstacles, actually, because specialness is a metaphysical idea. So thinking that stage 5 is something ultimate leads you to try to reach it through spiritual, philosophical, metaphysical means, sort of almost by magic, where you think that it's going to descend on you out of the sky, and this doesn't work. You can work towards stage 5 in a practical way. It's not something that just happens to you because you've gotten to be sufficiently meritorious. You actually have to do the work. And doing that unlocks new capabilities even before you can consistently inhabit the way of being. Before you're like at stage 5, you can begin to do the thing. So I wonder where this wrong idea that this is a special, almost religious achievement, where does this idea come from? It seems to be a natural human thing to harbor a hope for ultimacy, for a possibility that we can transcend the mundane world that we can become special, elevated above this ordinary place. And making stage 5 special, sacred in a secular sense, seems to be a manifestation of that hope. To be fair, there are genuine similarities between stage 5 and some Buddhist conceptions of enlightenment. Stage 5 does involve a partial melting of the imaginary boundary between yourself and everything else. You realize that you are in constant interaction with your circumstances and that you and your environment are constantly reshaping each other. So your experience of self and time and space expands. This is not, however, an experience of not having any sort of self. It's rather that you encompass a broader and more precise vision of the diverse details of the world. You may come to find that you have different selves in different situations, and at first this may seem frightening, fake, alienating, or confusing, like which is the real me. But with growing confidence, you find that you can step into dissimilar, unfamiliar contexts and become whatever they need. This fluidity of self is always a work in progress. It's never perfected, but it's a capacity that you can develop increasingly. I think that to be useful or even meaningful, developmental theory needs to be based in detailed, realistic observation of actual people engaged in actual activities. For stages 1 through 4, the Piagetian program, that's been done extensively. But when it comes to stage 5, there's much less of that than I would like, and this makes me quite uncomfortable in talking about it because we are really relying to a significant extent on personal experience and anecdata. Sometimes when people recognize that stage 5 is a merely mundane capability, they want it to be metaphysical, and so they posit some stage 6 or even a hierarchy of further stages as leading to a metaphysical perfection of what it means to be human and to transcend being human, even maybe. This gives rise to metaphysical speculation rather than empirical investigation. And there's a lot of nonsense in the adult developmental literature as a consequence. That said, there are quite a few down-to-earth, practical, empirical studies of stage 5 in the academic literature, less than I would like, but we can draw understanding and inspiration from those that have been done.